We're about to witness a clash that perfectly captures the growing strain between congressional oversight and a Justice Department that seems more and more resistant to real accountability. These hearings are supposed to be straightforward. Lawmakers ask questions, the nation's top law enforcement officials provide answers, and the public gets transparency. That's how the system maintains trust. But today, we saw something very different, and it deserves to be unpacked.
Padilla.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the opportunity to participate in this hearing today, which is our, at minimum, annual opportunity to ask questions as we fulfill our obligation to provide accountability over the Department of Justice. So just sort of to level set a little bit for folks in the audience and for folks watching at home, the Department of Justice is supposed to be the nation's guardian of fairness and the rule of law. The power of the Department of Justice is built on public trust and a belief that prosecutions are based on facts and law, not on politics or personal loyalty. And I call that out, Mr. Chairman, because when that breaks down, when the public trust breaks down, then justice itself is at risk. But under this Trump administration and the leadership of Attorney General Bondi, I believe the independence of the Department of Justice has come under attack. The department has been reorganized, it's been realigned, and repurposed in ways that we've never seen before. Important offices have been closed, key programs dismantled, and agents diverted, all without congressional authorization or transparent justification. Now, these are not minor bureaucratic changes. They represent a fundamental shift in the Department of Justice's missions and priorities, its policies, and its practices. Now, for example, career prosecutors have been pressured to change decisions in politically sensitive cases. Ethics oversight has been taken away from independent career professionals and handed to political appointees with little experience in these matters. Internal working groups have been created to revisit investigations involving President Trump and his allies. And together, these steps send a dangerous message that prosecutorial decisions can be driven by political loyalty instead of the law. Now, even more troubling is that the Department of Justice has pulled resources away from organized crime, away from counterterrorism, away from the protection of civil rights, to focus on immigration enforcement. The American people expect a Department of Justice to pursue violent crime, as do I, to pursue corruption and threats to national security, not to serve as an arm of immigration policy and in so doing under-resource other critical missions. Now, the Justice Department's credibility depends on the public's faith in justice and that the justice will be applied equally to every person and not reserved for the powerful or the connected. And that faith must be protected. And so it's in that spirit that this committee has a duty to ensure the department's work remains lawful, remains transparent, and remains true to its highest duty, the fair and impartial administration of justice. Now, that being said, I do want to get into some specific items with Attorney General Bondi here, beginning with the firing of Michelle Beckwith. Michelle Beckwith was a 15-year career prosecutor with the Department of Justice. She prosecuted in her career some of the worst in my home state of California: sex traffickers, transnational terrorists, those who this administration claims to care about and be targeting, prioritizing in taking them off the streets. And it may surprise some to learn that Ms. Beckwith was unceremoniously marched out of her office and fired from her job in July of this year. Why? Not because she failed to do her job, quite the opposite. It was because she had the audacity to remind Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino that he was obligated to follow a court order and the Constitution in California. According to reports, she was fired less than 6 hours after she told Bovino he couldn't arrest people without probable cause. 6 hours. So my first question, Attorney General Bondi, is a simple yes-no question. Do you believe that government officials like Gregor Bovino are obligated to follow applicable court orders, whether they agree with them or not? Yes or no?
First, Senator Padilla, you have gone on for over 5 minutes, and I wish that you loved your state of California as much as you hate President Trump. Would be in really good shape then, because violent crime in California is currently 35% higher than the national average. Property crime in California is 18% higher than the national average. That should be something that we should be talking about and working together on, yet we're not. And no, this is important. You're talking about all of my agencies, and I want to let you know what DEA has been doing, and they are working hand in hand.
I appreciate that. And
no, you can't go on for 5 minutes and criticize my agents who are out working without pay right now because you voted to shut down the government. They're out there working without pay.
Mr. Chairman, I asked a simple yes or no question. Attorney General Bondi is refusing
4,500 kilos of fentanyl and 50 million fentanyl pills off the streets.
While under your watch,
FBI, 23,000 violent criminals. U.S. Marshals, 51,000 fugitives.
I'm not getting an answer to my question. I'm trying to move on to the next question or the next topic. Mr. Chairman, order, please. Thank you. Because under Attorney General Bondi's watch, career prosecutors are being fired for telling agencies to follow the law and uphold the Constitution. Meanwhile, there are instances of allies of the president who seem to be getting let off the hook. I won't reiterate what some of my colleagues have already brought up in terms of the dismissal of the investigation into Tom Homan and his alleged acceptance of $50,000 as payment by undercover FBI agents posing as business executives looking to secure contracts with a future Trump administration. Because if the reports are true, it's not just the underlying conduct of Mr. Homan, which would be absolutely unacceptable, but the dismissal of the investigation charges raises concerns about the influence of the White House on the Department of Justice. Again, a simple question, and I'd appreciate a simple and brief answer. Whose decision was it to end this investigation?
I have answered that question multiple times, yet you didn't have the courtesy to be sitting in here for the hearing. I'm not going to answer it again. And I find it interesting that you want order in this proceeding now. Excuse me, Senator. You want order in this proceeding now.
Chairman, order,
you sure didn't have order when you stormed Secretary Noem at a press conference in California, did you?
I'll ask a follow-up question. Would you commit to either releasing the tape or at least making it available for members of this committee to review, yes or no?
Senator, you have not been sitting in here this entire hearing. I've answered the question, and I also want to tell you that our ATF agents have seized 25,000 illegal firearms.
So we will try again and move on to a different
in your
topic.
home state, we are prosecuting
Chairman,
illegal
order,
aliens
please.
who have raped
Mr. Chairman,
and murdered young
order,
girls.
Please. Thank you. So when I haven't been in this hearing, I've been watching from my office, monitoring the entire hearing, just so everybody is aware. But since I'm not getting answers to my questions, I'll try to ask one last subject area. Now, again, there's been increasing concerns about the politicized decision-making and the erosion of internal safeguards that protect prosecutorial independence. Before we even get into the integrity and independence of prosecutions, we get into, you have to ask a question about the independence and integrity of investigations themselves. The director of the FBI, Director Patel, was here before us just a few weeks ago. Attorney General Bondi, you are the Attorney General of the United States. Director Patel reports to you. Do you believe he's doing a good job, yes or no?
I believe Director Patel is doing a great job. You know where he is right now, Senator Padilla? Right now, you asked me a question.
Yes,
Director
I know
Patel
where
right
he is,
now is in Chicago, Senator Durbin, fighting to keep
You've said it
Chicago
earlier in the hearing, and yes, I have been paying attention.
You know, you want order in here now, yet you stormed the Director of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. You sure didn't have order that day, did you, Senator?
Attorney General, you are under oath. I did not storm the secretary, the video.
Oh, that was on video. That video has been released, I believe, very public.
Mr. Chairman, recent actions raise serious concerns about Director Patel's judgment and politicization, including lawsuits from former FBI officials alleging retaliatory firings, and his decision to cut off longstanding partnerships with civil rights organizations, and his decision to fire an FBI agent for refusing to engage in a, quote, perp walk of James Comey. And On top of all that, his prematurely claiming that subjects were in custody after the shooting of Charlie Kirk. I take Attorney General Bondi's endorsement today of his work as her support for those actions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
May I respond, Senator Chairman?
Yes.
Under Director Patel, 23,000 violent criminals have been arrested, a 91% increase over last year. More than 1,500 child predators have been arrested. We are making cases in your jurisdiction constantly in California, and I wish you would care about those cases. We have disrupted 1,600 gangs and criminal enterprises, 1,600 gangs within this country, thanks to Director Patel and the great men and women of the FBI.
The hearing began with Senator Padilla laying out something most Americans probably don't think about every day. The Justice Department isn't just another federal agency. It's supposed to be the guardian of fair play, the place where politics stop at the door. Its power rests entirely on public trust that investigations are driven by evidence, not presidential loyalty, trust that federal agents enforce the law, not a political agenda. And that's exactly why today's exchange mattered, because Senator Padilla wasn't making a partisan speech. He was describing a pattern under this administration that career officials inside the DOJ have been quietly raising alarms about for years now. Investigations shut down without transparency, political pressure injected into case decisions, and federal law enforcement resources being redirected to serve an agenda rather than a mission. His example of Michelle Beckwith, a respected career prosecutor fired within hours of reminding a Border Patrol chief to follow a court order, is not a fringe story. It spokes to something deeper. When constitutional guardrails become optional, when following a judge's order becomes a fireable offense, the system starts to warp. And when the Attorney General is asked a simple yes or no question about that incident, the public deserves a clear answer. Instead, we got something else: political attacks, deflection, and an attempt to turn the conversation into a debate about state crime rates. Anything except the actual question. This pattern repeated itself throughout the hearing. Each time Senator Padilla approached the core issue, whether the DOJ under Bondi is compromising its independence, the Attorney General pivoted away. She talked about fentanyl seizures, violent crime statistics, gang arrests, all important issues, but none of them answers to the questions posed. And this is the crux of it. When oversight becomes uncomfortable, the goal should be clarity, not distraction. Transparency isn't optional. It's the currency a justice system relies on. The moment that really captured the tone of the hearing was when Attorney General Bondi accused Senator Padilla of storming a cabinet secretary at a press conference, a claim contradicted by publicly available video. And she did this in the middle of a serious discussion about whether the president's allies have been receiving special treatment from the Department of Justice. Instead of addressing the evidence, she attacked the questioner. This is what happens when institutions become politicized. The conversation stops being about facts and starts being about personalities. And the danger in that is that the American people get lost in the noise. Oversight only works when answers are given. When accountability becomes personal, democracy becomes fragile. And when Senator Padilla shifted to concerns about FBI Director Patel, another official facing lawsuits and allegations of political interference, Bondi again pivoted away, focusing on crime statistics but not the concerns being raised. Once again, the pattern held. Avoid the question, shift the topic, attack the messenger. This isn't normal, and more importantly, it isn't sustainable. A Justice Department that cannot answer questions is a Justice Department the public cannot trust. And trust is the foundation of everything the DOJ does, from counterterrorism to civil rights enforcement to corruption cases. When that trust erodes, it affects every community, every citizen, every democratic safeguard. What we saw today was not just a heated exchange. It was a window into a larger struggle, whether our institutions can remain independent when pressured politically, whether career public servants can do their jobs without fear of retaliation, whether the rule of law is still the rule, or whether it can be bent for the well-connected. And this is why these hearings matter. They give us a chance to see for ourselves where the cracks are forming. They give us the chance to demand better. If you want more breakdowns like this, real explanations that cut through the noise and help make sense of what's happening in our democracy, make sure you stick with us. Subscribe, share this video, and let's keep digging into the stories that actually shape our justice system and our future.